the Empire, it's the Eskimo Empire podcast.
This is Trevor Harris.
Hey, how you doing? This is number 58, Travis Bond.
This is Christoph Malamba Chimanga.
Hey there, this is your co-host, Kenny Stafford.
Hey, this is Ryan King.
Calvin McCarty.
And you are listening to...
You're listening to the Eskimos Empire.
Listening to the Eskimo Empire podcast.
The Eskimo Empire podcast. Hope you guys enjoy listening.
Welcome back to the Turf District for the Eskimo Empire podcast, brought to you by United Construction Company. You can check out all their builds at unitedconstruction.ca, and while you're online, you might as well check out all of our links as well at eskempire.ca. I'm Andrew, and joining me in the Turf District tonight is the master of the flashback, super fan Mike.
Is that what I am now?
Well, you are after last week, because you actually tailed in from the very first show.
I did.
And that was, oh God, that was painful. That's horrible.
Episode 1, ladies and gentlemen.
Episode 1, where Andrew wasn't quite sure what he was supposed to talk about. Anyway, it was quite
coming
funny.
on 4 years ago now.
I know, crazy, eh?
That's amazing.
Like this is our 5th season, right?
Yep.
So that's and the first year went very well at the end. So
it sure did.
So for 5, I mean, we should just do it again.
Let's just win that Grey Cup.
That's what I think. I think it should be fairly easy. Now, joining us in the other co-host chair tonight,
yes, sir,
making his triumphant podcast return, it is the one and only Eddie Steele. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. It's good to be back with you guys.
Yeah, this is awesome. I'm so glad you could come in and do this. And we'll kick it right off with congrats on the retirement, the career. 9 years in the CFL. Not many people get to say that they played for that long, especially at a position where you're on the line and bashing into people all the time. But I mean, it's great you're taking the next step, because I mean, the last time we talked to you, you were on your way to the rectangle.
Yeah.
I sometimes Bermuda triangles, right? But going to the rectangle, and here you are, now you're back in town, and you're here, and you're going to set down roots and be an Edmontonian.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. I mean, you know, from last time I was here, a lot has changed, and it's really good to be back. Really good to be back and see you fellas.
Nice.
As I mentioned earlier, you know, looking around the room, it's like, wow, you know, so many memories,
sure,
so many flashbacks, so many friendships and relationships, and it's amazing to see. And I'm very thankful to be back in Edmonton. My family and I, during my 4-year tenure out here, we fell in love with the community, fell in love with the people, and we're just very blessed to be back here and to be a part of the community and set some roots down and really grow in the community.
And more importantly, that we even talked about, you know, before we started, was that now you can come to the tailgates.
Oh, no doubt about it. I've been paying attention from far on Twitter and seeing all the pictures and the posts, and I will most definitely be there enjoying a taco in the bag. Or
I can see him out of Saskatchewan. They have poutine at a tailgate. Yes. What the hell?
And there's no denying that I pay attention. I'm a lineman now, so I watch the food.
Extra points. That's going to be outstanding. If you had, I mean, obviously over a 9-year career, there's going to be a ton of highlights, but if you had to pick one or two, what's the ones that really stand out for you?
You know, obviously I have to go with the Grey Cup in 15.
Of course.
You know, being a kid from Winnipeg, having the opportunity to not only play in the Grey Cup at home, but win the Grey Cup at home, that's pretty special, you know. I remember when I found out that the game was going to be played in Winnipeg, it's like, whoa, here we go. I have an opportunity, you know, to actually go home and win. And with the team that back then Chris Jones had put together, I knew that we were set to do something special. You know, he put a lot of talent together, a lot of different pieces together, and yeah, it was that was a wonderful time. And then getting drafted, you know, and going to Hamilton my first year. I was a kid coming out of the University of Manitoba, 21 years old, just looking to make the team, you know, make the practice raw, anything I could do. And interestingly enough, my dad, he played a year of pro football for Hamilton.
Right.
So to get drafted to the same team that my dad played for, that was pretty special. And that's a moment I'll forever remember. And I'll forever remember my exit meeting at training camp with Coach Belfay, Marcel Belfay.
Yeah.
And he told me that I made the team, and they're
awesome.
optimistic about what I can do. So that was pretty exciting. One other quick little tidbit that's pretty cool about my tenure in the league is since I came into the league, I got to play in all the old stadiums, and
awesome.
I got to play in all, I believe it was 7 of 9 new stadiums, maybe not new, but some had been reconstructed and whatnot. So I got to play in all the old and all the new refurbished stadiums. So
Awesome.
that was really pretty cool to see the old and the new. And I remember practicing at Old Ivor Wynn with the wooden bleachers, and during practice weeks. So we'd have a game, and then during practice weeks, they'd be sawing away and hammering and painting because it was literally wooden bleachers. Just to get prepared for the next home game, and to see the new Tim Hortons Stadium, it's pretty amazing. So I got to play in all the old and the new, and I don't think a lot lot of guys can say that.
No,
so that's
for
pretty
sure.
cool.
That is, I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah.
That it's right in that time span.
Yeah,
that is outstanding.
It is.
Play it when you're first getting in and you're playing in Ivor Wynn though, and you're playing in that environment.
They're right on top of you.
Like that. I'm sure you were glad you were on the home team.
Oh, yeah. I heard some horror stories about, people, because you had the dugouts, right?
Yeah.
And you had to, in the spacing between the actual dugout itself and the sideline was maybe 6 yards tops. Like, it was tight.
Wow.
So I remember a lot of guys, they would, like receivers, for instance, they'd catch a pass and their momentum would continue out of bounds, but like they had to have teammates hold them up or else they'd fly off into the dugouts. And the people were right on top of you. And I remember, for example, Donnie O, good friend of mine, he was playing with Winnipeg at the time. He said people were throwing beers on them. And I heard some horror stories about the away team's locker room. The showers, they would flood up to your shins. And I heard some horror stories, and I think some of it to a degree was intentional from the grounds crew because they weren't putting the most effort into trying to change things. So
It's home field advantage.
exactly,
Works out real well.
Totally.
So, as I said, the last time we talked to you, you were headed to Regina.
Mm-hmm.
From a player standpoint, what is it like to play in the fishbowl that is Regina?
It's.
I mean, I'm sure there's good and bad.
Yeah,
but
no.
Yeah, like what's that like though?
It's special, to be honest. I had only known Hamilton and Edmonton, and then having the opportunity to go to Regina, Rider Nation is real. The passion that they have, north, south, east, west, the whole province, it is painted Rider green. Growing
The
up,
wrong shade of green.
yeah,
Yes,
the
okay.
wrong shade of green, and I can say that now. Not in trouble. It is true. It's true. Being a kid from Winnipeg, I grew up on the other side of that rivalry.
That's right.
So I witnessed them growing up, and I was like, "Who are these crazy Hick fans?" But I get out there, and I'll be honest, guys, it's pretty amazing the support that they show their team. It really is. I always was an absolute fan of the support that the Eskimos got from Alberta, especially northern Alberta. We don't like to talk about them down the number 2.
Yeah.
Not
They are
too
down
much.
the number 2.
They are down number. Yeah, they are the number 2.
We don't talk about them too much, but no, being out in Saskatchewan, it's almost overwhelming. And you are in a fishbowl. Everybody's paying attention to you, good or bad. Everybody has their opinion. Walking around the community, I always thought, wow, I'm going to be recognized everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the Walmart and people are going to notice me. But you know what? I actually had more encounters of people actually coming up to me and communicating with me out here in Edmonton.
Really?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
Than I did down in Saskatchewan. But man, running out of that tunnel on game day, and I guess I'm allowed to speak freely now as a retired player. There is honestly no feeling like it when they have that bring 'em out music.
Yep.
And holy smokes, you run out and it's a sea of green, be it the wrong color green, but wow, it is absolutely amazing the way the people rally around the team, the way the people flock to that stadium, flood the stadium, and the support they have. I have nothing but respect for Rider Nation, and I have nothing but good things to say. I've done a lot of speaking engagements throughout the community, and everywhere you go, someone has an opinion, be it good or bad. And everywhere you go, they know their football. You can go out to a community that's 4 hours away from Regina, 4 hours north, for example, and they're talking ball with you. In-depth football, not just a fan of football, but they're talking positions and who should be out here and who should be gone and who should be cut. And it's pretty amazing. So I was very thankful I had the opportunity to play out there. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, that's got to be tough for a good Winnipeg boy to play on the other side of that rivalry. So when you were growing up and watching those games, what was it like from the Winnipeg side?
We hated them.
Yeah, well, of course.
We were like, who are these guys in green coming into our town?
Yeah.
But at the same time, being a football fan, I respected what they brought to the table. I respected the rivalry and the matchup. It was always something so special to go to a Banjo Bowl game and, hear how ruckus, because I got to give kudos. The Winnipeg fans, they are some of the loudest in the CFL.
Totally.
There is no denying that, They might not be the most appropriate, but they are loud. I can remember even in the Swaggerville year, in 2011, when they were really on a roll. I was playing with Hamilton at the time, and it was at the old Canada Inns outdoor stadium. Sure. And I was on the sideline, and our offense, Kevin Glenn, was leading the offense on the field, and man, I have never felt a stadium vibrate the way it vibrated.
Right.
Like, the ground literally was shaking. And I have never been a part of that before in my life. I looked at a teammate and I was like, can you feel this? It was amazing. And I've never felt anything to that point. Still, I haven't felt anything to that point. And, Winnipeg, I got to give kudos. They can get rocking. So I was proud of that growing up. But, having gone and played out there, I always would tell people when I would go out into the community of Saskatchewan, I would lead off by saying, I'm from Winnipeg, but don't hold that against me. I'm playing for the right team now. But no, it was cool going to games. I actually, in college, I ran a hot dog cart. Me and a buddy of mine, we owned a hot dog cart together, and we had a contract inside the Winnipeg Stadium.
Oh, wow!
So yeah, we had some good lucrative opportunities on game day, and whenever Saskatchewan came to town, holy smokes, that's really when we made our hay, because the crowd it was amped up that much more, and for some reason people were out there buying. I don't know if it was the liquid courage,
I was gonna say, you gotta soak
the game
up the
day
alcohol,
or whatever it was, but I was happy.
That works out pretty well.
Yeah, it does.
So actually, that's kind of funny because you talked a bit on the Periscope. My next question was, well, do you know what the next step is? And here you're talking about out selling stuff when you're a kid in Winnipeg. What is the next step for you now that you're here in Edmonton?
Yeah, I'm going to be involved with a chemical maintenance company called Share Canada, based out of Winnipeg. It's a company my dad, he's been involved with for 30 plus years. So I grew up around the chemicals. I'm very familiar with the products, very comfortable with the products. And the fact is, I see how successful my father's been, and I know there's a level that I can really achieve out here in this province, a level of success that is even above and beyond what my father has done in the business, and there's a huge opportunity for me in this province. There was a guy who worked with the company about 8-9 years ago. He retired, so there's an opportunity for me to go and reactivate some of his old accounts, but yet establish my own territory and really get established out here. I would say I'd work in Regina or Winnipeg, but all that territory spoken for, especially Winnipeg. My pops, he's never going to let that go. I see where he is in the sales business, and he's not even selling at this point. It's all about relationships.
Yeah,
he's going and meeting people and having coffees and lunches with people, and I sit back and I think, wow, like, life looks pretty easy for you. But you got to put that hard work in, and you got to build that up. And I really feel like relationship is a strong suit of mine, and communicating with people and talking with people. And I'm really looking forward to engaging with people from the province of Alberta and, building that territory and building different relationships. I've been doing it the past couple off seasons, so it's not anything completely brand new to me. My pops, he's always been on me and telling me, the inevitable is near. You can't play football forever. Like I said to you guys earlier, there's only one Tom Brady playing into his 40s, I don't know a lot of football players that are playing past mid-30. And, even if you do play past mid-30, you still have to have another career outside of football, especially if it's in the CFL, There's got to be a life after. You can't just bank on this forever. That's what I'm going to be getting into is the sales business, and I'm really looking forward to it. And, I've already had some pretty good success in the business, which is very encouraging for the long run. But, at the same time, it can be a little daunting, because it's something completely new.
Yeah.
I've been playing football since I was 13 years old, so 17 straight years. Wow. So, you do something 17 straight years to all of a sudden stop and go into something different. It can be a little challenging. There can be some anxiety behind it, but I just use the model that my dad has laid out for me, and I try and follow that and try and hopefully to be as successful as he's been.
Awesome.
That's fantastic. So another thing that a lot of people do after they finish playing is go into coaching or analysis. Have you ever considered either working as maybe even just as a guest coach or working positional coach with kids, with professionals?
Absolutely. Actually, since probably I finished 9 years of pro ball. Probably the past 7, I've been involved with a company in Winnipeg called Recruit Ready, where it's on-field training for youth. I was actually one of the founding partners of the company. So, coaching is an absolute passion of mine.
Yeah.
I would love to be involved with coaching youth in particular. There's not too much of a hunger for me or a desire for me to coach pro. Just because the ego that comes along with it.
Tough racket.
A lot of guys, they feel once they become pro that they don't need to be coached. They feel that they know it all and they don't need to be told much, which, side tidbit is kind of a strong point. I think that's brought me to the success that I've had is I've always been willing to be coached by the different coaches I've had.
Be coachable. Yeah.
Exactly. You've got to be coachable in life. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. You need to be coachable. You need to put your pride aside. And I've come across a lot of guys that don't feel that way. And unfortunately, those guys generally don't last too long. But the youth is an area where I can really feel that my impact has been felt, and that I can really pass along, because I feel like I do have a lot of knowledge to pass along to the next generation. So coaching youth is something I'm very passionate about and something that I would love to get involved with. I'm sure I'll get involved in some sort of capacity out here in Edmonton. It's really just a matter of when and where.
Awesome. That's outstanding. Really, you could still play. We're sitting at the table with you. We know what that's like. I think more importantly, life after means that you could just have a regular spot on the podcast. I think that would be very important.
I am all for it.
Great. See, this is the analysis part we were talking about. So let's talk some Esks news and what we could test you out at the same time. So the Esks did their community tour and the CF Beast visit, of course. Kinger, Calvin, Mondo, Blair Smith out there. I love going in when they see them going into these smaller communities and running the flag football and just what you're talking about. This, they can go in and make such an impact on these kids and get them to get in at that ground level to a game that we all love.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's an amazing thing, and I got to say a little shout-out to Andrew Jones, who is just in the new position he's in as community coordinator. It's pretty cool to see a guy who, former teammate, former player of the league, he's been in the league for, 10 to 12 years, did a lot of winning in the league, 3 Grey Cups, as we can see up on the wall here, and For him to be in the role he's in and to now be coordinating different events around the community, it's amazing. And for these guys to go out into different communities, especially remote communities, it's needed, not just their presence, but the aspect that they can bring in terms of coaching, but not just football, but coaching life and different life skills. It's needed for some of these communities that are especially more remote communities. What I would have given as a high school kid or a kid going through kindergarten through grade 8 to have a pro athlete come to my school and communicate with me, kind of like what I was even doing with the Red Cross about healthy relationships, how to communicate with people. These are lessons that are so needed, especially in this day and age where everybody is looking at their phone and communicating through a phone, and
it's very true.
A lot of true life lessons are lost along the way. So respect to what they're doing, and I think every team needs to really step up and take initiative in terms of getting themselves out in the community as much as possible, because let's face it, the community runs the CFL. It's a community-driven league. And
especially in the prairies.
Absolutely. And that's essentially, other than my 3-year tenure in Hamilton, that's all I know is prairies.
Right.
Yeah.
So people really need to, players and teams really need to be involved with the different communities across the prairies.
Awesome. Yeah, I 100% agree.
I mean, that's the thing is, as a kid, I remember we had players from the Eskimos, especially the Eskimos, would always be at schools, and you still see it to this day. Going to schools, just being able to talk to these kids and just relate to them, not like their parents do, not like their teachers do, but just on a one-on-one level. I think it makes a huge difference.
Yep.
Yeah, and you can see it when they're showing the photos, and you're seeing these kids actually like, wow, okay,
They're
and this guy's teaching me something. Like that's it's very, very cool.
Yeah,
I love seeing it. Now the Esks did have a couple of things transaction wise. Nice of them to sign somebody today and not tomorrow, because that's usually what happens. We finish recording and we sign the next. So Cliff is really helping us out. We really appreciate.
He's got
that.
our back.
Yeah, absolutely. So they signed receiver Josh Stangby today. Now, where do you think he might have come from?
Where else could he come from?
Exactly. Ottawa, that's right. Yeah. So now he can also return as well. He did some returning of punts last year. So any chance? I mean, we're getting some pretty crazy American depth. There's going to be some good challenges if we get a training camp. So that's we're going to get into that later. Okay.
Yes.
Now they did have the global draft. And we signed linebacker Maxim Royer. I think it's Royer. Is that how you say it? Yeah. So again, what do you think of the CFL 2.0, Eddie? Because this is completely different from when you were playing in the league.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? Initially, I was very critical of it. Didn't really understand it. But then I sat back, did a little bit of research, and I found out that each team is receiving a fund. I don't know the exact number that each team is getting, but each team is receiving some money due to this initiative. So, initially, as a player, I'm like, what's the commissioner doing? His attention is in the wrong places,
Right.
He's focusing on these European players, et cetera, and why are you not focusing on the CBA and whatnot? But the fact is, he's bringing revenue to the league, bringing revenue to the teams. And as a businessman, I do understand that it's his job to bring in more income. And the reality is more income for the league. Hopefully, only as a former player, you hope that more income would be generated to the players.
Yep.
Yes.
A lot of people I don't realize that the teams are actually getting money, and there's potential TV revenue from going overseas and dealing with these different pro leagues. A lot of people think that the commissioner is just kind of wasting his time trying to bring in Mexican or bring in European players just to, bring them in and maybe kind of show pony them around for a little bit. But there's a bigger scheme at play here that I don't think a lot of people realize. being a businessman myself, I do understand that he is bringing some more income to the league, which is needed for sure. Now, I just only can hope that this income is shared with the players.
As it should be. Yeah.
As it should be, absolutely. Speaking of the CBA, going back to the last CBA that I was a part of in 2014, I mean, the league got a ton of TV money.
Yep.
What was it, $40 million from TSN?
Yes, sir.
And the players didn't get to see any of that, essentially.
Wow.
So I'm hoping now the commission is not only lining the pockets of the owners, but potentially moving forward, it's going to aid in lining the pockets of the players, because that's essentially what puts the league.
No players, no game.
Exactly.
You need to have players
You need
to watch.
players, totally.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That's who people are signing up to see. Sure, people are fans of teams, but ultimately you can't be a fan of a team if there's no players to field the team.
That's just being picky. No, but it is important. Absolutely. And I actually, I'm a lot like you. I was kind of like, what is this 2.0 thing? But now I'm starting to kind of wrap my head around it. And now that we actually had a player, is it Spencer Watson, I think, that went back, is now signed in the Finland league. So it's kind of opening up those channels too, like going back the other way.
Even
so I think
Akeem Foster just recently.
That's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, Akeem Foster.
Going over.
He's going overseas. Yeah, former teammate. Yeah,
2015 Grey Cup winner.
Exactly. So it's creating opportunities for guys.
Yeah, which is that's really cool.
Yeah, you almost think back like when you were a player. I mean, you obviously got drafted. People didn't make the CFL. If they had an opportunity to all of a sudden go to Germany or go to Finland, go to France and play football professionally, and who knows, maybe come back to Canada and play, go to the States and play whatever, be able to extend their career, I think that could be a really good thing.
Totally, and you get some good tape out there of playing pro football or semi-pro, whatever. I'm not sure exactly what it is overseas.
Right, different places will be different things.
You get some good tape out there, it just presents more opportunities for guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, big announcement.
Yes, sir.
Need a little theme music, I think, in the background of this. Absolutely. As it is the return on September 20th of Joe Anua'i, as most people may know him better as
Roman Reigns,
for a football game against the Hamilton Tiger Cats, which I thought was actually kind of good because they kind of started the whole pro wrestling guy coming
Ric
to
Flair
the
on.
Absolutely. I'm not even I used to be all in on wrestling, and I kind of
marked right out.
Oh, I was right, completely in, and it was right before Roman Reigns got big, actually. So I know who he is, and I know a little bit about it, but I had a lot of people be like, yeah, you must not watch because some people don't like him, but I know Campbell likes him, so I'm like, okay, great, I can get on board because of that. But I just think this to me is a fun thing that they're kind of doing throughout the league. I think it's kind of neat to see.
And another defensive tackle as well. It's done well for himself. Played in 2009 for the Eskimos at defensive tackle. Had a great game against Winnipeg.
Yeah, exactly. Forced fumble. That was very good. Yeah, they posted that review, which is awesome.
Exactly. I think it's great. Getting anything that's going to bring people down there, especially when you can get a lot of kids who are big wrestling fans coming to the games, getting to meet this guy one-on-one, and then see some great football at the same time. I think anything you can have that's got that great relationship already, that's got to be good for the league.
Absolutely. I agree with you totally. Like you said, the kids and, people of the younger generation who do watch wrestling and the relationship that you said, if you can correlate the two and just bring more people out and fill those seats up, I think is an amazing thing.
Yeah, he's become a superstar.
Absolutely. Well, and it's a great story because he's now coming back off of the leukemia. So now that actually builds some awareness on that side of things too. So I actually really like that.
Yeah.
That's very good. All right, now the Esks were also back. There was 17 of them that were back doing some photo shoots and promo videos. Now, did you see Tavon in number 4?
I did. It looked good.
I did look good.
It's very slimming.
It was very, and it was. I was like, 4. Who is? Oh, interesting. But then more interesting to me, Donu Namba wearing number 0.
This will be the first time in history that an Eskimo has worn number 0.
So basically, if we redid by the numbers, he'd be the only one.
He would definitely win the number 0 one.
Exactly. So now, to me, I was floored because of our conversations with Dwayne that he would never give 0 out.
Dwayne always said count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's right. 0 is not a number. Well,
Sounds about right.
Don wore number 1. And of course, there are no retired numbers on the Eskimos, but number 1 was Warren Moon. And Dwayne would always say, are you Warren Moon? No, then you can't have number 1.
Right.
It's hard to argue that,
and
really.
He's been around long enough that he can say that. That's fine. Yeah.
He was around 7 years when Warren got here. So
yeah, exactly. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I think he's been around that long. But I was shocked he's wearing 0, but it was very, very cool. Now, the very neato extra part of that was that in the meantime, I was able to catch up with a few of the boys and have some chats. So I got to talk finally to Arjen Colquhoun, which I did mention to him that it's nice that he was finally healthy, that I could talk to him. Yeah. So that was good because we kept running into that issue of him getting hurt and then I couldn't talk to him. But I did get to talk to him, and then our good friend Kwabena Asare came in, and so I caught up with those two. So let's check those out right now. All right, we are joined now by Canadian cornerback for the Eskimos, Arjen Colquhoun. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing very well. Glad you're back in town to get the photo shoot things and done. What's it like coming back in the middle of the season, kind of getting ready to get the season started?
Well, actually, I came back up here in January just to get my feet wet, with a new defensive staff and coming off the season we came. Really, it's just been awesome. I was here since January and no one's really been here. So just to come into work and just see all the guys that you're going to work with and all the guys that we signed and all the guys that are coming back from last year, it's just an exciting feeling, and you kind of get that feeling in your stomach that football's back.
Oh, that's awesome. So, going into a new defensive scheme. Now, for you being a speedy guy on the outside, I'm sure you're excited. It sounds like it'd be a tad more aggressive than what we're used to.
Yeah, I had a chance of talking and meeting with Coach Lawley while he was in town, and honestly, he's just a great guy, and I'm ready for whatever he has planned. He's been around the league for a long time and has coached at a lot of tremendous places, and we just look forward to him bringing his knowledge to the Eskimos.
That sounds outstanding. Now, you've been up with the team now for a couple of years. This is going into your 3rd year. Mm-hmm. What's it like being an Eskimo and playing in the CFL as compared to coming up from United States College and all those types of things?
It's amazing. It's an amazing opportunity for all Canadian kids. They need to take advantage of this and take heed. If you don't make it in the NFL or in college, you always have a home, and your home is your motherland, Canada. So I always encourage every Canadian kid I talk to is shoot for the moon. But if you miss, you're going to land on a star, and the star is the CFL, which a lot of great stars have came out of and went back to the NFL. So I try to always talk to guys and let them know that the CFL is a great league to be in, and you can still have a great career.
That's awesome. I love the screaming of Mike Moore in the background. It's just adding effect to the interview. It's outstanding. Now, tell me a little bit, kind of different for Canadian usually playing corner up in here. That's a kind of a specialized position. What is it that you love about corner, and what kind of drew you to being in that position?
Just playing it in college. I think it really helped me that we played press man. So I was always down, bumping and running with the receivers. And just coming to the Canadian game, it's a lot of passing. There's only 3 downs. Yeah. So I want to be where the ball is. I want to be where the receivers are getting the ball. Not a lot of running, so I thought playing corner would give me my best opportunity at making plays.
Awesome. That's outstanding. Well, let's find a little bit about you outside of football. What do you like to do when you're not playing football?
I like to walk my dogs. I got 2 American bullies, Millie and Nina. So I like to take my dogs for walks. I'm a big video game addict, so I play a lot of like NBA 2K and Madden, Fortnite, all that. So
there'll be lots of kids that are excited to hear that you're playing the same thing as them. Yeah. Do you have a favorite movie or things you like to watch?
I don't have a favorite movie. I actually just had this argument the other day. I love all movies, but I'll tell you my favorite genre of movies is horror movies.
Ooh,
so
okay.
When I wake up early in the morning on the weekend, usually I put on a good horror movie. That's how I start my day.
While the lights are on. That's a smart move. I like. That's the way I watch them. And what do you like to listen to? What's big on your music list?
Honestly, I'm a guy that's all over the place. I like rap, I like reggae, I like country. Listen at really everything. Jake Owens, Queen. I watch Bohemian Rhapsody,
nice.
And honestly, I like their music. But after watching the movie and really understanding, I like their music even more. So right now, I'm into a lot of country and rock. That's on the menu right now.
Outstanding. That's a favorite of ours. So, all right, 2 more for you. One is if you had a chance to talk to anybody for 1 hour, it doesn't matter who would it be and why?
It would be Dennis Rodman.
Nice. Interesting choice.
I choose Dennis Rodman just because he's just a character. He's a whole mood. So kind of just want to talk to him and see what his life's been like.
That's a great one. Never had that before. That's well done. All right, and the last one is what does the Eskimo way mean to you?
It's just how you carry yourself. It's caring for everyone, showing compassion to your brothers and sisters, and just always being there for someone when they need your help, and vice versa. That's the Eskimo way.
That is outstanding. Well, thank you for joining us. And where does everybody find you if they want to follow you online and things like that?
You can follow me at the Canuck36. That's my Instagram, my Twitter, and my PlayStation pin if you want to play 2K Fortnite.
Ooh, I can see the challenge is coming. Thanks, man. All right, we are joined finally by offensive lineman Kwabena Asare in his 3rd year. How you doing, man?
I'm very good,
Excellent. And what's it like being back and being around all the guys and getting back into football gear?
It's definitely very pleasant seeing all the guys. Seeing that, like, the last 6 months, what I've been training for, it's finally almost time, It's finally time to go.
Yeah.
All those long nights, all those long workouts are finally paying off because you're getting close to the actual, game time. So I'm really excited.
Awesome. And again, your 3rd year. What are you looking forward to as far as trying to get on the line and get a little more time out there?
Opportunity. My biggest thing is, like, the last 2 years has been, I've seen my opportunity grow, and I feel like this is the year that my opportunity finally, like, cracks open, like 7 inches of daylight,
All you need.
I got to break that open. That's all I need to take advantage of my opportunities that come towards me.
Awesome. Now, what did you do for the off season other than obviously your workouts and things? What else did you do?
I worked a little bit. Just working, taking a lot of leisure time, making sure I get my recovery right. Mostly working and working out, just getting ready for the season.
All right. I think we talked about sleep. Sleep is very important.
Sleep is very important. Like, you got to at least get at least 10 to 12 as much as you can, 10 to 12. That's my recommendation, all right? To be as big as me, at least 10 to 12.
I can see all these kids like, I got to go to bed. I got to get
You have to. If you have to go to bed at 6 o'clock, go to bed at 6 o'clock. You have to.
I'm telling my son that tonight. I'll let you know if it works. Now, I know you in our interactions, you like to be a joker. You like to have fun with the guys. Yeah, are you like that on the field? If the guy's standing across from you, do you like to give it to him?
I'm definitely like that on the field. Like I said, like, you should ask Kwabena about some of the my antics with him in college. I'm definitely that happy-go. Like, I'll definitely talk
Fire trucker
to you. And if you're someone that I do not see as a competition, I'll definitely laugh at you while I block you. It is what it is. It's nothing against you. It's just how I am.
Does that get you hyped up when you're playing?
Oh, of course it does. Like, it's all part of the energy. It's all part of the game day energy. Like, you just it's that sensation just dominating. It's a good feeling. I haven't had it for a while, but it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling.
So now, actually, that brings up another question, because of course you played on the Ravens.
Yeah.
Kwabena played on the Laurier Hawks.
Yeah.
So you guys went head to head a lot. What's it like now? You've been teammates for a couple of years.
Sorry, but
That's okay. Go ahead.
Right?
I'm totally leaving it in. I just wanted to be Kwabena. Yeah.
It's not Kwabena. It's Travis. Sorry, what was the question?
So you're going against Kwabena and
Yeah.
Laurier, and what was that like? And now you're on the same team.
It was fun because, like, initially when I met Kwaku, I hated his guts. I don't even lie to you guys. I hated his guts. Like he was very good, and I was very good. And we were kind of pinned against each other as one of the. I was coming out as one of the best O tackles in OUA. He was coming out as the best pass rusher. So I always wanted to go at him. Yeah. Any opportunities I got, I was trying to get at him, and that's pretty much our relationship. Now that we're boys, now that we're on the same team, it's more like we get to see each other's personality, and we match well. Like we meshed very well. We were roommates last year, so I got to make fun of him a lot. So he would tell you that. He would definitely tell you that he dislikes me a little bit, but he loves me.
Well, and now that Bahar's gone, because I know you like to bug Nate a lot.
That's
so
my favorite pastime. That was definitely my favorite pastime.
So is Kwaku the new target, or are you going to wait and see who the new guys are?
Oh man, Kwaku's a big target on his back. Like I'm living with him this year too, so like it's just going to be a season where like he's just gonna hate me, but he still loves me, in a sense where like I'm just gonna bug him all the time. Like I to this day I FaceTime him every opportunity I get, and his first reaction is, "What do you want?" And so like for you guys to really understand what I've done to him over the past offseason, for him to get that reaction, because Kwaku is very open when you call him. He's just, "Hey, what's going on?" So yeah. It's definitely going to continue in the ongoing season. So
I see that as a very loud apartment on a regular basis.
Oh yeah, he's going to be pissed. That's
he's going to be upset. That's awesome. All right. Well, outside of football, you into movies? Is there something you like to watch?
Yeah. Right now, the Avengers Endgame coming out.
Ooh, can't wait.
That's a big. Like I said, I'm going to be definitely in the early birds, 7 a.m. Yeah. Previews.
Like really
I'm into it. I've been following Avengers for the longest time. When Sony turned down the whole cast just to get Spider-Man. Yeah. Even though Spider-Man was the trashiest one, but don't quote me on that. But yeah, like
I see a lot of tweets coming.
Hey man, hey, but Avengers don't get at me. I love Thor. Okay. Right? I love Thor. Thor's he's just a man, right? I love Thor, but I love Avengers. I've been following Avengers for a while. Like I've been excited since Civil War came out. I've been excited since Captain America came out. So I've been a big Adventure fan for a while.
Awesome, outstanding. And what are you listening to right now on iPod or whatever else?
Definitely Nipsey Hussle since his passing. I felt like a man of his stature, a man of what he did for the community, his community, and back his positivity. Like as I was growing up. Like back then when I was growing up, a couple of my friends kind of introduced me to his music and his like ideologies and philosophies, and like I kind of followed that, kind of helped build my life around that, kind of helped mentor it from afar. Never met the man, but I felt like what he was teaching, what he was preaching was kind of had an effect on me. So definitely. Since his passing the last 2 weeks, that's all I've been listening to, and that's all I'm going to continue to listen to. On to the season, to the next. Nipsey's forever going to be in my playlist.
All right, that's a great pick. So now, do you have a pre-game ritual or anything that you do?
I've been doing it for a while, but I definitely just like to listen to music, trying to get in the moment, trying to visualize what I'm trying to do on that field. I'm trying to dominate every chance I get. So I'm definitely like to feel the turf, like pre-game walks. I like to go outside, stretch on the turf, have a little feel for the atmosphere, feel for the weather, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So,
that's a good way. Just get out, get in the zone, know where you're going to be, get into your dark place so you've got all your lines ready to go.
Exactly. I definitely got to get into my dark space. When I'm making fun of you, it's not coming from me. It's coming from the dark space. It's coming from the
I think if you need to, it's not really a far jump, but
right. It's just a little 1-2 step, but like it's there. It's there.
All right, now one that we don't try to catch people on, but we ask them all the time. You have 1 hour to talk to anybody, alive or dead. Who would it be and why?
Alive or dead? I think probably gonna be Tupac. Like I feel like that man's ideologies and what he was speaking was way ahead of his time. I feel like to have a conversation with a person like that. Like it will help you. It will help open your eyes to see a better vision or a better visual of what life is really supposed to be. Yeah. Like educate yourself a little bit more. So that's definitely a conversation I would love to have.
Oh, that's awesome! You watch Juice, the movie?
Oh man, you definitely watch Juice, you know? Like, even though Bishop is the bad guy, you still have to love Bishop.
You can't get around it.
You
it's
can't.
Such a good show.
That elevator scene, I was hoping Bishop hit him. Kind of. Hey, you could quote me on, I was hoping Bishop hit him, but he missed.
It's still one of the best soundtracks. Like, come on, it's outstanding.
To this day.
I get it. All right, so now you've been here, this again, your third year.
Yeah.
What does the Eskimo way mean to you?
I feel like the Eskimo way, I've kind of like the last 3 years kind of patterned my lifestyle around the Eskimo ways, you know. Like as you know, like I've been on the team for the last 2-3 years, and I haven't even stepped on the field yet. Now I feel like the Eskimo way, what I've gotten from that is like I work in the dark, you know, and when the time comes for me to shine, I'm ready to shine, you know. Like I work and I grind. I don't say anything. I don't like. Because when my time comes, that's when my time will be, right? Yeah. So I feel like that's what the Eskimo way is just keep working towards your goal, and keep working towards whenever that opportunity presents itself, you're going to shine. So,
find that 7-inch crack and bust through it.
I'm going to bust right through it.
That's right. You know, I love to hear it. That's awesome, man. We're so excited you're back and look forward to seeing you in the season.
Hey, look forward to talking to you guys more, you know? Yeah. The whole gang.
Absolutely.
Oh man, they are such good dudes.
Yes.
Kwabena had me like crying, laughing.
He always does.
Oh, we were having such a good laugh, and he's so awesome.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's now going to pick on Kwaku all the time makes me laugh even more. So I almost gave him a shirt just for that. But anyway, we'll have to we'll talk about that. Now I did also get a chance to talk to Mike Moore, but unfortunately my recorder decided that it didn't want to keep that one, even though it was a great chat.
You need to get back into recording.
I really do. This tech is getting a little. I need to get back into it better. But I got to tell you, Mike Moore stayed in Edmonton last year, which I didn't know, with his family, and it was amazing. He's learning from Mondo, and I think that's going to help him out this year.
You're seeing a lot more of a lot of the Canadians obviously stay in the community, especially when they're used to it, but a lot of Americans, especially those people from the deep south that are coming up here and staying.
Yeah.
Obviously Mondo from a little farther north, but so it's not like he's like, what's this white stuff falling in the sky? But it's great to see that kind of thing. I know we talked a bit about on the last episode or even before that, with the ratio. Years and years ago in the 60s, they had this concept of the naturalized Canadians.
Yeah.
If you stayed year-round in Canada, you're an American, and you were with the same team for 5 years, you qualified as a special Canadian. They had 1 or 2 spots on a team for that. I don't know if that's something they'd look at again, but if it's someone who's willing to make their home and become Canadian in that way, might be something to look at for sure.
I told Mike, I said, so you decided to stay here when we had the coldest frickin' winter we've ever had. And I said, on the other hand, those games in October shouldn't be so bad now. He's like, it'll be a piece of cake. Yep. I'm used to it being minus 40 now. I'm great. Yeah. Well, let's talk about the Esks for this year.
Yes.
Eddie, I know you're biting at the bullet to talk about the team. What did you think of all the moves that the Esks made, especially when it comes to free agency, of course, losing Mike Riley, and then everybody that they added in? What did you think of that?
I think the GM Brock, he's done a pretty good job, to be honest. Like you mentioned, losing Mike, that's a huge piece, quarterback-driven league, but then to replace him with a guy like Trevor, I don't think there's too much of a drop-off there. Trevor's a great player, great competitor. The defensive pieces, I think that's the thing that was lacking the most from the outside in, was the defense and shoring up the defense, and they sure did a good job in terms of the linebacking core. The linebackers can't be the only ones playing defense. There's still, a secondary, especially in a passing league, that needs to get shored up. Defensive line, I think they're pretty good up front. You mentioned Mike, Mondo, Kwaku, heck of a young player. Going to be a heck of a player for a long time.
Bazzi on the other end.
Bazzi, Bazzi, heck of a player too. I remember his time in BC, and he really made a name for himself. And I think they're going to be much more solid on the defensive side, and that's kind of where, from my perspective, the S were kind of lacking, especially last year. The year before was defensively. receiver. What do they have? 17 receivers, I read.
Something like that.
Toronto has all the running backs. We have all the receivers.
Exactly. Yeah. And some good receivers, too.
Yeah.
So there is going to be some high competition at that position.
Yep.
And competition is a good thing, especially in pro football. So it'll be interesting to see, what their roster looks like come week 1. Hopefully for week 1.
Yeah, touch wood.
I agree. Yes, I do like that.
So,
but good moves. Good moves.
So here's a question, especially as a Canadian player. Most people know that we need to have 7 starting Canadians on the roster. Do you see some things changing this year? We've got some, like you said, some linebackers coming in now where we've got Santos Knox, we've got Unamba, we've got Larry Dean. Does that mean maybe the will linebacker spot no longer a Canadian spot, or do they run with a 3-4? Or
yeah, with the guys that they signed, and unfortunately, there's a salary cap and there's only enough money to go around. And generally, when you pay guys the money, they have to be on the field. I think in the linebacking core, they will most likely go All-American. And it's kind of unfortunate for a guy, Corey Jones, good friend of mine.
Yeah.
He kind of came on at the end of the year, and I think he's been chomping at the bit. This was his opportunity. I think finally, he's faced some injuries, and, now from his standpoint, they signed all these guys, and it's like, gotta go out and
here I go again.
Really compete hard for a job.
yeah,
But that's good. Competition is a good thing.
steel sharpens steel.
Absolutely. No pun intended.
Exactly.
Full pun intended. That's going to be a new segment on the show. Steel sharpens steel.
I like it. Invite me out for that one.
Yeah.
I like it. But no, in all seriousness, I think they're going to be good defensively. I think ratio-wise, I don't think there's much room for a Canadian in the linebacking core.
Right.
Konar was the guy. Unfortunately, I was the guy kind of cut for Konar because they flipped the ratio from D-line to linebacker the offseason when they cut me. But again, reality of the game. Having played with Konar, tough kid. He really tough kid, but injuries are something that he really couldn't stay away from, but that's a part of the game that kind of follows you when you play the physical style and nature that he played with.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Kwabena obviously is going to be a stalwart at the Canadian spot on the defensive end. I don't... Colquhoun, like you guys were talking, he'll be another
corner.
Canadian, out at corner. Other than that, though, I don't really know about their Canadian depth. I don't know how much depth they have, and I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, so then another spot then that we kind of started to talk about off air, but then I cut you off, is safety.
Yeah.
So we have our own. I think I know who I want back there, but who would you guess that they would put back in?
Or
the
do they go
position?
looking somewhere else?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know where they go. We brought up the name Hoover.
Yeah.
And I don't know if, based off what I've seen, I don't know if he is going to be the guy. I haven't seen a ton of tape on him. Young kid in the league still.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be his third year here now.
Yeah, third year. Big learning curve. I don't know if he will be it. They might go American back there, and I could definitely see them doing that. But then I don't know where all the Canadians are going to be. We mentioned one defensive line, one on the corner.
One on the corner. We know that we've probably got
At least two.
At least two on the offensive line.
Yep.
And with Bond coming back at guard, which is rarely an American position.
Yep.
Now you've just got David Beard and O'Donnell as your incumbents.
You've got Tavon Smith, who likely is going to be a starter at receiver.
And maybe Anthony Parker.
Right?
Yeah, Parker.
So now you're looking at 5, possibly 6. So then that 7th spot... It's
if you're not going to have linebacker,
it's got to be safety.
Yeah,
if you're not going to have linebacker, so and I know you mentioned this right at the start, and I don't, we kind of glossed over it, but I'm wondering if they might lean into doing that 3-4
right
defense and
or at least rotating. I mean, that's something that Lawley. I mean, you've played under Philip Lawley, or not under, but with him, and he was coached the linebackers under Chris Jones, and I know that he's certainly done that where if it's not a traditional 3-4, he'll have his down lineman drop back into coverage kind of thing. We saw it happen with a lot of guys. Odell was one of the famous guys for it in 2015.
Yes.
They would drop into that coverage, or whoever it happened to be. Jefferson sometimes would drop there, whoever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I mean, we've seen him play defensive lines where there's 3 defensive ends. You know, it's just some crazy ass stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's interesting you say that, the 3-4, because I was speaking with Morley Scott last week, and he said, yeah, if Lolly likes the 3-4, and potentially that might be an opportunity for Konar to come in.
Right.
You know, and drop
and
into
Malumba.
pass coverage.
Shimonga,
and
too.
Malumba,
So, right?
Yeah,
Blair
exactly.
There, too, yeah.
Yeah, Smitty, yeah. So there's an opportunity there for some guys. So, yeah, it'll be really interesting come training camp to see where the competition really rises to the top at the different positions and see what happens, you know. And
what was it like when you were playing and Lolly was part of the defensive coaching staff?
Really great. I love Lolly as a coach. You know, he was a very respectful man. Being under the Chris Jones system, you know, there was certain standards you had to uphold yourself to. But Lolly really got along with the guy. He had a really good view of football, having been around the game of football for so long.
Yeah.
He at that point, it was still a learning curve of the CFL because I think that was his first year in the CFL in 14.
Yeah.
You know, he's been around the CFL for plenty of time now. He's got his kind of fit for the game, but no, I'm excited to see what he has to bring to the defense. And, you know, this offseason, even with myself, you know, I don't know if I'm jumping the gun here, but yeah, no, I was in discussions with Brock and the Eskimos, and Lolly and I were in personal discussions about me potentially coming on board. But, you know, again, like I led off earlier, I'm not chasing the game of football, and I'm not about to, you know, play till the wheels fall off. If an opportunity did bring itself my way, I would consider it, but honestly, finance is a big part of it at this point in my life with
and
my
your
family.
Future.
Exactly. So, yeah, that kind of just didn't line up the way that I thought it potentially could line up. But I really respect Lolly, really think he's a great coach, and I'm excited to see what he has to do with the defense.
I mean, this is
awesome.
he's literally been coaching 40 years.
Literally.
Yeah.
Like, that's a crazy amount of time to still be in the game. The things he has seen coming and going.
Yeah, well, he's forgot more than we ever know,
Oh, yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
that's the thing.
Well, at least you and I, for sure.
Oh, me for sure. You're like the encyclopedia.
Not super fan.
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
super
Yeah.
fan.
He knows it all. I don't know anything about that. Are you going to be able to watch as a fan this year, or do you think this first year might be a bit tough?
No, I'm excited to watch, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm a huge fan of the game. Even when I've been playing my whole career, I love, you know, games on Thursday. Say, for example, we play on Saturday, Sunday. I love sitting back on a Thursday and, you know, kicking back, watching games, studying guys. I love it. A lot of friends across the league, so I'm excited to see how they do personally.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited. You guys, you know, I get to be out and come out to the tailgate finally.
Yes.
The past 3, 4, 5 years, you know, I've been watching and having to see pictures, go home after the game, and I see the pictures of the poutines. And I'm excited to
That's awesome.
be involved in that aspect. I have a little 2-year-old son, just turned 2 last week, and
That's perfect.
I'm excited to bring him out to games. And, you know, now I can hopefully go watch a game or two up in the alumni lounge. And
awesome.
you
It's a
know,
great place.
enjoy it up there, and you know, talk some stories with some old guys. And I'm very excited to come out to games and to be a part of it and to watch it as a fan now. And part of me, you know, wishes I could have played a little longer, just so my son could have been a little bit older, you know, been in grade school bragging to his friends. But no, there's I remember how I was with my pops, and I didn't even get to watch him play.
Right.
So I think my son, with the pictures and the videos we have, I think he'll be able to be a proud son.
He can still brag to his friends like, my dad's got a Grey Cup ring. What's your dad got?
Pretty much.
That's very true. Plus, Superfan has all the games on TV,
Oh,
so
yeah.
you can just get them to you. It's
All- whatever
it's a
game
load
you
up.
want, you let me
That's
know.
Right. Yeah, exactly. We
So
can
you
load up.
really have them all, hey?
Everyone.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so
Every one
cool.
of the last How many
From
years?
2000.
From 2000, you have them all. Yeah.
I will be contacted.
Yeah.
So there's lots
and
of ways to
before
watch.
that, back to like the 50s. So
Yeah, and we're going to try again this year to have one where we all get together and watch an old game, and we'll let you know, and you can come watch these old games. And it's pretty cool when we're watching, like when we watched a little piece with Jed, and he would say, "Yeah, well, this is what was happening off to the side." It's like that's like very, very cool to us as we're watching it,
especially
right?
when he's on the wrong side.
Yeah, that was a good story. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's take a quick break, and then we will come back and talk a little more CFL news. The Eskimo Empire podcast is brought to you by United Construction Company. As a full-service commercial general contractor, United Construction Company serves large and small-scale commercial, light industrial, and multifamily residential construction projects across Western Canada. UCC is a relationship-focused builder, forming a trust and respect that is at the forefront of their commitment to quality, value, and integrity. Visit their website at unitedconstruction.ca to find out more and support them as they support the Empire.
Get loud for me. Get loud for me. Get loud for me. Hands in the crowd, we tearing it down.
You can join the Empire online.
Find us at eskempire.ca.
Check out all the new blogs and then follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
For more history, follow at Esks History on Twitter.
And even more of my pics on Esk Empire Photo.
Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to help the pod grow. Thanks again for listening. Let's get back to the show. Welcome back. We have a little bit of CFL news to talk about, and I thought who better to chat about it with than a player who was just in the midst of it.
Yes.
So one of the things that came up this past couple of weeks, the governors approved all of the new rule changes. So we've kind of gone over them a little bit before, but the extra challenge there, if the first one is right.
Should have done it the first time.
Absolutely. That was long overdue. The command center now can actually call roughing the passer or roughing the kicker if the referee is actually, their view is blocked.
Yep.
And they don't actually see it. They can also upgrade those penalties to 25-yard penalties if it is a blatant hit. They redefine spearing just so that it's top of the helmet. If you're hitting with top of the helmet, it's done. There is... You can't. Now, this is one I actually am a little curious to see what you think about, Eddie. That the 3 or more wedge blockers are not allowed anymore on a return, and so it's going to make the blocking very interesting. More one-on-one blocking, I would have to think, coming down the field, right?
Certainly, and it just forces guys to move their feet a little bit more. And I'm not too upset at that rule change,
Okay.
Because there's some point in times where you can get, 3 big offensive linemen, for example, on a kick return, coming to try and blow up a DB or someone trying to set the edge off the outside. So I understand that for sure. And it forces more skill into the game. You have to be more athletic, move your feet. You can't just be a big guy trying to run through a little guy, per se, which is kind of old school. Yeah, says the big guy. But I'll tell you, when you have to try and move your feet, because I've had plenty of one-on-one blocks against some guys coming down the field at a high speed, it's a challenge for sure. It's a challenge. They can dip and they can, move under you and whatnot. So I like that for sure. And based off the schemes that I saw last year, because I was on a lot of kickoff returns last year, a lot of teams were going away from the traditional bring 3 guys together, run them up the middle or run them up a sideline per se.
Yeah.
So I understand why that rule came into play, and I could see kind of the different phases of it essentially coming into play because, teams weren't really going with that traditional 3-man wedge set. So I totally could see it.
Okay, that's cool. I wasn't sure on that one, but I was like, okay, well, it must be a safety thing, and it must be more, like you said, a little more one-on-one blocking.
They've been doing that for decades. Like, I mean, it used to be mass plays were all the rage, and people were getting really hurt. I mean, you could lock arms together.
Exactly. That's what I remember.
Red Rover going.
I was going to say Red Rover up the sideline.
Exactly. And so it's been like just progressively getting safer, but still keeping the excitement in the game, I think. And like you said, being able to have that skill, I think is just going to be, for fans, is going to be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, they also put in the play is automatically dead if a quarterback slides at all, not just feet first, but head first, anything. They put in a 10-yard diving penalty, which...
the tie-long
rule. That's right. Yeah, it's good that they put that in there. And if you get 2 25-yard penalties, then you are out of the game. So, I mean, which is...
if you're getting 50 yards of penalties...
I was going to say, that's...
You're out of the game anyway. Yeah. You're not playing anymore if you do that.
If you cost your team 50 yards of penalties...
That's almost half a field. I mean, come on.
That's crazy. That's like, that's close to 25% of what our team would get every game last year. So that's not very good. So we got her. Okay, I just needed to say it at least once. Exactly. Get it out of my system. But I don't see, I think all the rule changes were good. I don't. There's not one that I go, well, that's dumb. I think they're all good changes.
I mean, like we said earlier off the top, I love the fact that you have that, you get your challenge right, you still get another challenge back, because too many times there'd be something that was missed, and the eye in the sky is going to help that with missing those penalties, but to have something that was an obvious call and you have to waste your challenge in the first 10 minutes of the game, that's got to be frustrating as a coach. I mean, to be fair, 10 years ago you didn't have any challenges. I mean, the 2015 Grey Cup, how different would that have been if there were no challenges?
Big time.
Right?
Ooh, yeah.
Big time.
Kenny was really adamant about getting that challenge flag out there. It's the first one Jones win all year, right?
Yeah, exactly. Good one to win.
Yeah, if you're
well timed. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think that there isn't a single one that didn't seem like it was almost common sense.
Yeah, I agree.
If you're kicking and it hits the ribbon on the top of the goalpost, it was considered dead back then. Like, there's no way that changes the trajectory of the ball. It's a ribbon.
It's exactly.
So the fact that it's now considered still a live ball, just play.
Yeah. How many times have you seen it hit the ribbon?
No.
Yeah, exactly. Not very often.
No.
You just said you've been playing for 17 years. How many times did it hit the ribbon?
No.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Any of those that stand out weird for you, or
no? Not too many. Haven't been victim of the quarterback penalty or lack thereof a couple times last year. That's a good one in terms of protecting quarterbacks, and I like reviewing the different penalties that you can review. And the coach's challenge, that's huge. You know, I am in total agreement. If you win one, you should be rewarded in another.
Right.
You shouldn't be. You're
not fishing.
Held, you shouldn't be held captive for winning a challenge, especially because we know football. There's a lot of plays that are, they could go either way. So that challenge is very, very special, and you need to hold on to that. It's important. So that's probably the biggest one that I'm in favor of.
Okay, awesome. Now, you said before we started recording, you're like, well, with all the CBA stuff, maybe I got out at the right time. But the CBA is now getting into the nasty part, which we all knew was coming, and that's part of
typical negotiation.
Absolutely. The players have now said that they're not going to be showing up for camp if there's no deal in place.
I don't know if we blame them for that, though.
No, I'm not. No, I
You're
don't.
a player coming to camp, and there's all of a sudden they say, well, you sign it or you're not coming. Then they have to fly themselves home on their dollar.
No, it's not. No, I totally get that. It's just one of those things where I just want them to get to the table and get it done. I believe that the players need a fair deal. I absolutely am 100% behind the players getting a fair deal, but I'm not a person that's like I'm team CFL or team CFL or whatever. I just want them to get to the table and talk.
Yeah, I just
get it done.
To me, I just want to know where's the situation where everybody can have a win.
Or everyone has to lose a little, and that's okay.
But as I said, they can still win, right? Even if they have to give up something to get something. I mean, owners aren't in the job of owning the teams to lose money all the time,
right?
Obviously. So they want to be able to make money. But at the same time, if they don't have players and the players aren't coming up because they don't feel that they can be safe playing the game, and if they get injured, and you're an American especially, you go back down to the States after a year because you're cut, and now you have hundreds of thousands of bills. Like, that's just not sustainable.
Yeah.
So we've got to figure out a way so we can protect our players, give them what they need, but still be able to make money. And I think there's got to be a way they can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you mentioned, it's getting ugly.
Mm-hmm.
It certainly is getting ugly at this point in time. I think the biggest thing, or difference, I should say, this time around, having been through it in 14, is social media.
Yeah.
Guys are able to really rally and connect and communicate with other guys due to social media and kind of get on the same page with each other. I think at this point in time, the players deserve better. There's no doubt about it. Being a former player, sure, I get the players' point of view. I get the owners and the commissioners' point of view, because business is business.
Yeah.
Let's be real. I understand business, but there needs to be some changes, certainly. You look at a situation, for example, such as Jonathan Hefney, with the injury that he had, and he's still facing some challenges in life because of the injury he faced on the football field. And essentially the teams, they're responsible for covering you a year after your injury, and after that they wipe their hands of you and see you later. And there needs to be some major changes. Financially, of course, everybody knows that, but not just the financial aspect, the health coverage aspect, and with the money that is going around the league, with the TV contract that was signed back in the day in 14, there's a lot of money these owners are getting, and rightfully so. Owners should be getting money. They're putting a product on the field, no doubt about it, and I understand that. But the players ultimately are the ones out there sacrificing themselves. I mean, you look at some owners like a Bob Young in Hamilton, they call him the caretaker because he's sacrificed so much over the years, and I respect that, because there has been a lot of years where he's taken losses, you know, and that's why they call him the caretaker, because he keeps sweeping up this mess and keeps taking care of the mess, which is, the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Now, not to call them a mess as a franchise, but he's had to take losses as an owner, and I understand that.
You got to think Toronto and BC too, with Braley.
Absolutely, Braley. That's a big one that comes to name too. Is Braley? He's taken a lot of losses over the years, and who knows how many millions he's lost. But at the same time, the players are due their respectful due and their rightful due, and I think that it's time that players really reap the benefits of some of the financials that are there in the league, because let's be honest, teams are still making money. Not every team is making hitting a loss every year. No. And the players are due their money, and
Saskatchewan's not losing money.
No.
Certainly.
No.
Certainly. So to come out and pay half the roster, $54K. I mean, as a player, that's not completely right with me, and it doesn't sit very well with me.
Yeah, I totally get it. What is the chance, do you think, that there might actually be a work stoppage this time around?
I think more so than ever, the Players Union is in a position where they are able to have a strike and a work stoppage. Now, I hope guys have done their due diligence and saved their pennies throughout the offseason, because as we know, the league has already withheld multiple bonuses. I just read an article, what was it, $6 million or something, essentially of that nature, worth of bonuses the league has held this offseason. So, I hope the players recognize that, and they've done their due diligence in terms of getting jobs and saving their money, because the league said this 2 years ago. It isn't something that just came about.
Right.
They said, we're going to hold your off-season bonuses come 2019, and, that's a huge sign from the league that they're willing to do the grimy work that they have to do in terms of trying to establish a CBA, and I think the players need to hold their own and do what they need to do to establish a CBA that is appropriate for them.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. What do you think?
Well, to me, there just seems to be such a disparity between, for instance, as an example, you're a player and you can get cut at any time. You can get cut the day before a bonus is signed, which is, to me, it's just like you throw this bonus out there, and a lot of times they might do it knowing they're never going to pay it because they can cut you at any time and you get nothing. But if you're a coach and you get cut and you have a 3-year contract, you get paid out that full contract. And I don't understand how you can have that kind of disparity between your players and your coaches.
Right.
I mean, I know there are fewer coaches, but...
And there's also a salary cap on the coaches now. So now there's, so that's going to play into those types of contracts too, right? But it should be a little more fair.
It should be, especially me being a victim of one of those situations.
Exactly.
You know? I had my personal situation doesn't affect it, but I had a pregnant wife at home with a baby that was due in a month, and I got cut the day before I was due a bonus. I've heard stories of teammates who were due a bonus one day, and the club called them at 11:45 p.m. 15 minutes before it was the next day, the turnover, cut them at 11:45 p.m. So that just goes to show you how ugly the business truly is. But then you got coaches who are getting paid out, multiple year contracts. At one point, the Riders were paying 3 coaches in the past. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
or a general manager.
Exactly. So it's a huge discrepancy in terms of how that is allocated and how guys are actually paid out. And, as a player's point of view, I get the risk is there. You're playing pro football. Major risk of injury, major risk in terms of contract, but it needs to be a little bit more fair because the discrepancy is not even close. Coaches should not be paid out and have guaranteed contracts where players, they're just essentially, they can be disposed of whenever. And, football is the only pro sport in North America where contracts aren't guaranteed. And, I talk to teammates, they say, I signed a 3-year deal. I said, no, you didn't. You signed a 1-year deal. Because everything in football is year to year. Exactly.
Very
not
true.
even. It is year to year. Yeah, you might feel comfortable because you signed a 2-year deal or a 3-year deal, but that don't mean nothing. I had a 2-year deal too, and they cut me before the end of that. You know, so you better be ready and you better be willing to perform year to year because that's what football is. It's a year to year basis.
And even still, I mean, we look at a Darius Bowman who was cut right before his bonus. And in a cap era, the bonus he was promised, it just seemed like it was going to be way too much money. So it was one of those things where they negotiated the bonus would be paid out before free agency, knowing that he likely might get cut. But that way he's got a leg up on free agency, so he's kind of covered. But I don't know, it just seems weird knowing that you're negotiating a bonus for someone that you know you're never going to pay.
Yeah, totally.
It is, yeah. So lots of changes, and it's going to be a very interesting couple of months to say the least. But I really just hope get to the table and get something done.
Get it done. Everyone wants to play.
Yeah, absolutely. And most of all, us. At the tailgate and sit in the fans and drink and watch the game.
Well, we're going to tailgate whether there's a game or not.
Absolutely.
And I'll be with you.
Exactly. I'm setting up that TV no matter what. That's right. We're going to enjoy that. Now, there was no history segment this week.
No, we decided, I think we're going to do it in the offseason. We're going to do it every alternating week and then hoard the other weeks.
Yeah, that makes sense. But, I mean, it is kind of history. We have Joe Pow returning to Ottawa.
Yes, sir.
We have Winston October possibly calling the plays in Ottawa.
They're going to do it as a group, but
So, history.
That's right.
All right. Now, the CFL did put in predict the draft and win.
Yeah.
Do you get into the draft at all, Eddie, or not as much, or do you still?
Yeah, no, I do. I mentioned the company that I'm a partner with, Recruit Ready, and actually it's interesting. A lot of guys that I've coached over the years, they're now entering their draft year. And,
nice.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. Part of me really wanted to stick around just to be able to play against some of these young kids that I've coached because, wow, how special would that be? You know?
So who do you got going in that you got to
Brady Oliveira, running back from the University of North Dakota. I've been coaching him since he was in grade 8. Zach Williams, big offensive lineman from Manitoba. Derek Defoe, defensive end from University of Manitoba. All these guys, Manitoba guys, obviously.
Of course, yeah, you're right
Tariq
there.
Lachance, he did well at the
combine.
The regional combine and got the invite to the big combine.
Awesome.
So all these guys I've been coaching from a young age, and to see them develop and to have their opportunity now and have their number potentially called, it's pretty special. I wish I could have played against them, but I have a future outside of football lined up for me. But it's pretty cool, and I'm very proud as a coach. No doubt about it.
That's awesome.
How tough was it, talking about the draft, being a draft eligible kid, going into that, waiting for that phone to ring?
Oh, it was tough because I remember specifically myself. I was the 7th ranked prospect projected coming out of the draft or coming out of the combine. And I got a call on the Thursday. The draft was on Sunday. So I got a call on the Thursday from Ed Hervey saying, if you're there at number, I think it was 7 overall, I believe it was. If you're there, we're going to take you. Draft day comes. They ended up taking DB Salim. I forget his name. Borhat. Yeah. Didn't last very long.
Nope. Sure did not.
But they ended up drafting him in front of me, and I was like, "What? You just told me if you had that pick still, you're going to pick me." And there was a lot of hype around me. I remember at my house, I had a big draft party. CBC was there. CTV was there. I had, a couple hundred friends and family there because I really was expecting to see my name called in the first round. At that point, I guess still they only show the first 2 rounds on TV.
Yeah.
Didn't end up seeing my name called on TV. I went and had a pout fest in my room at my dad's place. Didn't handle it the way I should have handled it. In hindsight, it was pretty
Your expectations
bad.
are set, though, right?
But yeah, exactly. Yeah. The expectations was there. I was young. You're walking around thinking you're the man. People can't tell you anything. My pops came in, had a couple solid words with me, put some wisdom into my life, and I came downstairs after I had the pout fest that I had, and a friend was clicking refresh on the computer, and he saw that 3rd round, 22nd overall, Hamilton drafted me. And I always tell people it's not when in the draft you get drafted, it's where you get drafted to.
Right.
And I really got drafted to a special situation, an opportunity where I could flourish and grow, because I've seen essentially that whole draft class in front of me. They haven't played in the CFL as long as I have.
Right. Yeah.
There's been, even just to this point, a couple of guys who have lasted this long. Rob Maver. Grant Shaw was a part of my draft class, but he didn't last as long. Had a great career. Marco Bruyette. There's only a couple of guys that really, from my entire draft class, that have played as long as I've played. So, I tell people, it doesn't matter when in the draft. It's where in the situation you get drafted to. That's all that matters. So.
And again, a special occasion, being able to be drafted to the team your dad played for.
Yes, exactly. Exactly, which is very important because that's like a movie scene. You know? How often does a kid get an opportunity to get drafted to the team his pops played pro football for? How special is that? So,
and to be a 3rd rounder that's had a 9-year career where not only did you play that long, but you were a starter.
Exactly. And that's something I'm very proud of. 130 plus career games, but I've started 80 plus of them. I've been a full-time starter essentially my whole career,
right?
Which is something that I can really hang my hat on. And I didn't just make it in the league, but I essentially flourished. And, I've been a captain on every team I played for, which is something I'm proud of. And, even when I announced the retirement, something that's been really special to me and gets me quite emotional is just the outreach of guys who've told me the impact I've had on them. And,
that's awesome.
A lot of guys say, the cliche, great career and whatnot, which, I believe them. It was a good run I had, but, the impact that I had on their lives, the impact I had on them as men and as people, that's what really stands out to me and is very important to me. I've always prided myself on being a good guy, a good leader, a good man in the locker room. but you really realize and see it come to fruition when all the people kind of reach out to you and kind of tell you firsthand. And that's more than anything, that's gotten me more emotional than anything over the past couple days.
That is awesome. That's outstanding. And, I love hearing the stories of when guys get drafted. And I remember when we first talked to Kwabena.
Yeah.
And I mean, 5th round, right? Mm-hmm. Like you said, doesn't matter where you get drafted.
41st overall.
And
now look at him.
Exactly. But that was the thing. Even as when we talked to him the next day, that was one of the first things he said was, "Hey, doesn't matter where. I thought I'd be up in the top, but that's all right. I can go and prove them wrong." And that's what happens. So
Kid goes out and
so awesome.
Use an all-star, right?
Yeah.
Kid goes out and gets an all-star, man.
Absolutely.
Second year.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait for this year. Get your shirts, by the way. Okay. So, I had to throw that in there.
Yep.
All right. So, and again, the draft happens on May the 2nd, and hopefully we'll have some more information for you as we get closer to that. Well, Eddie, thank you so much for coming down and having this conversation with us. We are going to have you back so much this season to talk football. It's going to be outstanding.
Good. I like that.
To get your football fix, your gin fix, everything at once.
Like
we're here to help. Where does everybody find you online? Where can they connect with you for all these other things?
Yeah, absolutely. On Twitter, it's Real Deal Steele 97.
Awesome.
And that was my nickname throughout the locker rooms. It was the Real Deal Steele. And then on Instagram, I believe it's Eddie Steele 97. I just type in my name. Usually it pops up.
Yeah.
So, I'll be honest, I don't really know my exact handle.
No, that's
but
okay.
if you type in my name, you'll be able to find it, certainly.
That's awesome.
Awesome. And we look forward to many segments of Steel, Sharp, and Steel this season.
That's right.
It's going to be outstanding.
I like it.
Superfan, where does everybody find you?
They can find me at 56 Parkies. Most places.
Excellent. And of course, you can find me at Freepalicious, the show at Esks Empire Pod. Thank you, as always, of course, to our sponsor, United Construction Company. Check out their website, unitedconstruction.ca. You down with UCC?
Yeah, you know me.
Lovely. Make sure you find us on all of our social channels, and you can find all the links on eskempire.ca. And we will be back in 2 weeks when it is almost, hopefully, camp time. I hope so. I mean, the important question now is, do we all want Eddie as a pod regular? Absolutely. That's for Eddie Steele, Commissioner Kayla, and Superfan Mike, I'm Andrew. Remember, you can't catch footballs with your face, and we will absolutely talk to you in 2 weeks.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.